Okay, and welcome to the Gen X Show. I'm Ray,
Hey folks, I'm Danny.
and Gen X Show is kind of a out branch or a branch of Squirrel Nuts, which is our animation series. And
Some argue the other way. First came the show, then the squirrels, right?
well, I guess you're right. I mean, they kind of did, right? Because we had a cable access show, the Gen X Show, and that came way before this. So, good old Dan wanted to talk about a couple of things. What do you want to talk about, kid?
Oh, number one, here we are in October, folks, and I call it a gateway month.
Hmm.
And the reason I call it a gateway month is because it's a gateway to drinking, eating, taking time off of work, and all around shenanigans. The reason that is because after Halloween, once you hear the word October, right, you know what's coming, Halloween. So once Halloween's over, guess what? Here we go, Turkey Day. Then you got the day before Christmas.
Yep.
Whatever they call that day.
Christmas?
Christmas Eve, right?
Christmas Eve, yeah.
And then you have Christmas, then you have New Year's, and blah, blah, blah. The holidays, as you call them, right? So that's why I always refer to as like, here we go. It's the beginning of the end of 2020. And I'm sure a lot of folks are probably happy to hear that.
Yeah, and I think that's the main thing here, that it's almost the end of the 20s.
Yeah,
2020s. A tough year, right?
Good call.
Oh.
Good call. Some folks did have a good year. Not everybody had disasters and mayhem like the rest of the world. It's funny. Well, it's not funny, but you go online and you see flooding in India. You see flooding in South America.
Yeah,
you see
everywhere.
Tornadoes. In the European country somewhere, or not tornadoes, but the winter storms that are just causing havoc all the way around. And then you see these tropical hurricanes here in the Gulf of Mexico that came up recently, on and on. So it's so interesting to have just so much going on, both with nature and even our man-made stuff.
Yeah.
Like, when is Netflix going to drop more new shows?
Well, there you have it. Like Squirrel Nuts.
Or Squirrel Nuts. Please, watch Squirrel Nuts.
So today also we wanted to give you the behind the scenes of our last episode, what scenes meant to us, why we use characters, colors, all that stuff. And we also are going to give you guys a little treat. You're going to listen to me and Dan talk about some ideas for our next show, which is due in 30 days, which I'm dying already. Right?
Yes.
You think we could do it, kid?
I think so. I think it's done.
So it's always a process. First we talk about it, then we write the script, then we start creating the characters. So it's so I'm not really stressed about it, but hopefully we could jump on that quick.
Sure.
So do you want to talk about the show, or do you want to hit another topic?
No, go ahead. What do you want? Topic of the day, or you want to go to the show? Is that what you're saying?
Let's do a baby piece of the show, and then we'll go to the topic of the day.
Okay, sure.
Because this is a weekly show, so you guys hear, you hear what's actually happening.
Okay.
And it's great because Dan knows more than I do. I'm stuck in a room all the time. But so I want to tell you guys that I think the reason why we made this show, first of all, one of the main reasons is that we wanted to show that, sometimes fear brings out the worst in everybody. And we kind of wanted to put the mirror in front of everyone to show how sometimes shameful we acted towards our fellow man. And I'm not preaching. We're definitely not political, like we always say. But the main objective of Squirrel Nuts is to be a mirror, to kind of mirror society and show what's happening, kind of like a time capsule, right, of experience. And that's why I thought, I was talking to Danny about it, I thought it was so important that we do something that would show what's actually happening, what was the most insane aspect of what we're going through in 2020 and beyond, who knows, which was a virus. Now, how do you touch upon the virus without offending people, because we didn't want to offend? My God, this is a horrific epidemic. It's killing hundreds of thousands or millions of people. It's millions throughout the world, but hundreds of thousands here. So all we wanted to do is to make people get a little just, what would I say, kid? Just get a little not reassurance, but kind of like a relief relief from
sounds
the
good. Sure.
from the pain, and smile. And that was the main objective of our show.
Look at it with a sense of humor a little bit.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yes. And there was a lot of things happening. Like, for instance, the Tiger King. Danny actually contacted me and said, "Hey, dude, have you seen this? It's crazy." And we both saw it, and we had a lot of comments about it. So that's why we also put a little scene of Carl Baskin doing, feeding. Well, yeah, I don't know, kid. You think she really did it?
Oh gosh, man! Without trying to get a suit or something like that, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to answer that directly, but I will say that it is quite the mystery. His disappearance and the way he disappeared, especially with a man that's so meticulous about everything he does. Obviously, that's why he's successful.
I didn't know the history about him. So he was.
Yeah, what little I know.
That was his place before hers, right?
Correct.
Or
correct.
together.
The wealth that was amassed was all done by all his work, and she married him, I think, with very little assets, if any, and he was the one that had built the company that he had built for himself, and that's how he accumulated wealth, and being that his main hobby, I don't know if we call it a hobby, his lifestyle, was the animals.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I found it really interesting about that? Just touched up on this a little longer, because just a month ago, actually, Fox News had a special about it. I think it was who actually killed I don't know the gentleman who passed away, but her husband. We're talking about Carl Baskin. But she says that her ex-husband, Kenny Farr, he was suspicious only because he had bought this giant refrigerator that mysteriously left. Appeared when the guy was missing, and then mysteriously left. So it's very interesting about that.
That's so true.
Yeah,
that is so true.
It's nuts.
Very good point. And that's, again, we were discussing it. Whether you want to pick a side or some kind of conclusion, or you don't want to because all the facts aren't there. We all have to agree that it's very mysterious.
There's
a lot of circumstances that don't appear to be normal.
Yeah. So we did something pretty warped. We showed her dancing around, dressed up as a chef with a little spatula. What's spatula in English?
That's a good word. I don't know.
Yeah, a little pan thing, and then she's dancing around a tiger who has a foot out of his mouth. So you're probably thinking, "Oh yeah, you guys aren't political," but we're not. We're just goofy. And that's kind of our style.
Yeah.
So another thing that we also had was, I think, kind of interesting too, is we had the press secretary there, and again, we're not for or against of anything. I mean, I'm an American, and I respect American. I respect her position and everything like that. But I wanted to show how symbolically and Danny and I talked about this too. How symbolically, how we don't really know what's happening, because the news is so thrown around with, everybody blaming or pointing fingers. Nobody really gets the real answer. So we used her there as kind of a symbol of what was occurring. Not to say she's a bad person, because she's doing her job, man.
It's really about the media.
Yeah, it's about the
not
media.
Any one person, naturally, because that could not be physically
exactly
possible.
Exactly.
And I'm gonna tell her how it is.
Yes.
And I'm gonna use a broad brush, which I'm sure people will not like, but the media,
absolutely,
they don't
right.
take an oath to tell you the truth.
Yes.
They don't take an oath to be honest with you.
Yes, and they're supposed to. We're supposed to be super objective, but it's not happening. So
Nope.
So we and I respect this person too, like I said. But so we showed them in her scene coming up, just symbolizing. And if you watch the show, you'll see that scene. And another scene we brought in is back in the day, there was all these memes, and there was this dancing. It looked like a pineapple. And everybody was downloading it. It was just dancing. So that's kind of thrown into to the show too. These are kind of little Easter eggs, so you know that there's more interest, there's more depth to just watching a cartoon. It's just not just thrown together. We actually put some thought into it. And I think I've talked enough about the show so far. Dan, do you want to hit one of the topics? Or what do you want to do? Do you want to see something about the show, dude? It's tell me,
you did a great job, and it's. Like Ray said, if you watch the show, maybe twice, like Ray said, there's a lot of symbolism and there's a lot of reasons that we put the things with the squirrel urinating on one of the citizens running through. Uh, that kind of says something because it kind of reminds you that's what we're doing to the animal, right? You know, unfortunately, we're with the high density living and with the population just the way it's growing, and here in Silicon Valley is what I'm talking about. I'm not going to talk about the whole world, but even then, that's an issue too.
Yeah, yeah.
We here in the Bay Area see this population boom and housing issues and things like that. So where there used to be orchards, there is now a very tall building with tiny rooms called townhomes.
Yeah, townhomes.
For $800,000-$900,000.
Three or four times that. I mean, it's not even. It's beyond everybody's mean. Yeah. You can't work at Burger King and Taco Bell.
No, you're not going to make it here.
No,
you have to rent a room or a spot. That you can call your own.
Yeah.
Me and Ray were very lucky. We grew up here in the Bay Area, and I'm proud to say that I spent many years in downtown San Jose when it was a beautiful, live, happening. Just busy
melting
downtown. Yeah, it was awesome. I can't even tell you.
Cultural
stuff, just everywhere. And there wasn't any of this. Oh my gosh, cultural reparation. And how dare you say Mexican, or how dare you, all that kind of thing. But back then we celebrated the difference in our cultures.
Yes,
and we celebrated them, and everybody joined you, and it was awesome.
It wasn't a label. It was just who you were.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a label. And now I think we're all getting stuck with all these labels, and we need to just stop. And man, just it's going to sound super corny, but hey, man, just love your fellow man and just do your thing, man. We're all here for the same reason, to live, not to F each other's up,
Sure.
What else do you want to talk about, kid?
Well, let's see. You want to talk about current events?
Yeah, let's do some current events. Okay. Current events. Dun, dun, dun. Niners lost.
Boo. The Niners, yeah, it was a very close game. Jimmy Garoppolo, unfortunately, he's out with an injury. Hopefully, we'll see him back soon. We did see Kittle come back.
Came back, yeah.
Yeah, which is awesome. But nevertheless, unfortunately, down the stretch, we lost that game.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened with Mullen. That's my boy, as I like to say.
Yeah.
I've always touted him as I've always told you, watch out for that kid. He's good. But that day was not his day. He's had better days that week. He's been very productive in.
Well, the line was down too. The offensive line did not give him press protection. But we're not a sports show. We just want to hit that.
Right. And here's a segue. Okay, so. The reason I bring that up is because the NFL was also affected by the C-19 virus, right? Cam Newton was, tested positive, and so he wasn't able to play. And he's a high-profile team playing.
Yeah.
The very next day, playing a very high-profile team called the Chiefs, right?
Yeah.
So, but here we are. COVID, ugly head came up and did some handiwork in the NFL, as well as all over America, even the world, which brings me to a point. So, lately we've all seen those videos of what they call the kids call Karens, and people blowing up because they want to wear a mask, or or the guy which they refer to as the Kyle. That's right? Ken. There you go. And Ray likes to date the high school girls, so that way he knows all the N-words.
Yeah,
that's a joke, guys. That's a joke.
That's lit. I'm lit.
He's lit.
For sure.
Slow down, man.
Sorry, guys. I'm an old guy, so
But he's not rap. He's
not
rap.
Yeah, I'm not. And I don't label myself. I'm not an old guy. I'm just a refined guy.
Yeah. Kind of like the fella from what's that band that played with Prince and
the
time. Yeah, Morris Day.
Yeah,
kind of a Morris Day. Cool and all that kind of thing. But even he's affected by the COVID, and we all talk about the negative part of it. The positive part about it is that we take a notice and we say, hey, first responders that have to deal with it no matter what. They're not home collecting that check and that nice stimulus check. Binge watching Netflix like I did, and enjoying yourself, right? They're out there still doing their thing, and so we wanted to always stop and acknowledge and say, hey, man, thanks for doing that. You guys are
Yeah,
great.
definitely.
But you know who else is great too? Is the minimum wage person that's working in a non-essential or whatever the
Essential,
phrase,
yeah,
an
essential.
essential
Yeah.
area,
Service workers.
service workers, and they take the brunt of every conspiracy nut, every rat. I don't know. I'm not going to label them. Okay, I'm just going to say those guys that come in and don't want to wear a mask. Okay?
Oh God.
You
Are
know,
you still dealing with that?
oh man, that is such a big issue.
Even now?
Even now, video after video. If you go through all the social media and you take a look, take a pop in there, take a look, see what's going on, trending, what have you. Always a new person blowing up because they didn't have, they don't want to wear a mask indoors.
How selfish do you guys have to be? Come on.
You know,
You're not special. If you're special, we're all special.
and it really, unfortunately, it really is something, a virus that is very contagious and it's for reals.
Yeah.
Where it came from and all that, that's, hey,
Irrelevant.
that's your thing. You believe what you want to believe. That's awesome.
It's
right?
here now. That's past tense.
Yeah.
What are we doing about today?
Yep. And don't take it out on a kid that's making minimum wage.
Yeah.
And trust me, he's not going to make a phone call and say, "Hey, guys, Mr. James over here came in, and he didn't want to wear a mask, and he told me about his rights and all that, and so I'm calling you, President of Target, to let you know that James came in, so you better change stuff now, okay?"
Oh,
President of Target and or other big corporations, because after all, James said,
Come on.
So I can assure you, no phone calls will be made to CEOs and presidents of people that own these humongous box stores. Right? It's not going to happen. However, in a serious way of customer service issues and so on, they have a procedure, and you can follow that to voice your opinion about the service you receive there, good or bad. But here's the thing, guys. You're going to yell at a kid making minimum wage like he's going to actually do something about it. He did not make the rules, mandate all these state-run rules. It's not up to him, right? So don't give that guy a hard time.
No.
Take your fight somewhere else. Not with the kid trying to. He wants to be at home just like everybody else. Trust me, he could care less about your burrito order, right?
Yeah. Or
go get it yourself.
Or your latte.
Yeah, and your lattes. So that's just awesome. I mean, just
it's selfishness, kids, and that goes back to the show actually, because that's why we put in. There's a scene when you don't know what they're really is. They're screaming and yelling, and fighting about toilet paper, and they're actually cursing. But they're so both irate, and that they're mumbling when they're cursing, and they beat up this tennis ball that says "No more toilet paper." So it's just again the toilet. What did in the series? Seriously, what did the ball? He didn't give an F. He was just working at the shop, and he brought up the sign to say, "Hey, no more toilet paper." And this guy starts freaking out and starts yelling at him like it's his deal. Anyway, he made it silly because he's a ball, and the guy did beat him up or kick the ball, but still, that's what we're saying. Come on, don't be so selfish. Don't blame it on someone that has nothing to do with it. They're doing their job.
Yeah, you really have to be nice to anybody out there who's still working. They're exposing themselves many more times than a person that gets to stay home and reap the benefits of this whole incident and get your stimulus check, get your unemployment benefits, and relax. Stay home.
Yeah, and they're not
pump some iron.
Yeah, exactly. And they're not going somewhere where they can say, "Oh, I can relax." They're probably going to a full house where they only can relax in their room. With their sister sleeping in a smaller bed on the side. Yeah. So they have it rough, man. Yeah. So they're only out there because they have to live. So
just to make a living. Yeah.
Don't blame them. Do something about it.
Yeah.
You do something about it.
Yeah. Go make a vaccine.
Yeah, or do something. There's something you can do.
I heard you can get natural honey and potassium. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
A hair of a fox.
Yeah. Stop using your drone to spy on people.
And a suppository capsule. It's hollow. Get the largest size and get a dozen.
Exactly.
So anyhow,
there you go.
So tonight we're actually, speaking of COVID again, tonight we get some more football.
Oh,
right?
that's true because
Because of COVID, they had to
yeah,
change the schedule on those two games. So that was rescheduled. It'll be tonight. So good thing is we still get that game. It's a great game. Good teams. Too bad Cam's not going to be there. He's the fellow that came down with the positive test, and we'll see how it goes. But that should be entertaining. And then we have the debates coming up. I think on Wednesday. We'll see how that goes
yeah, the VP.
from the VPs, and we also have the Dust Bunnies that dropped.
Yeah, the Dust Bunnies. That's one of our other animation show. It teaches microbiology to the youth and a funny adventure. So
Yep,
listen to that too. That's really good. It even
yep,
comes with lesson plans.
yep, yep. So that's kind of interesting. That's kind of interesting. And what else can we tell you about? Oh,
Uh,
we always like to keep in touch with the virtual reality scene because that's the
oh
next big
yeah,
thing, right?
yes, definitely.
So two things that hit the news about VR, Oculus Quest, as a matter of fact, specifically because they're the leader in the industry, right?
Yeah,
They're going to join up with Facebook, and as to operate it, you're going to need a Facebook account, which is
ridiculous, but yes, politics.
okay. Uh, and I believe that they're also working very diligently and hard on creating more games
Wow.
because the main complaint on the bad side is that the games are short and there are not very many of them. So once you go through the whole bunch of them, which are shorter than a usual game of on a disc, a campaign, which is usually like something like 30 hours, I guess, of playtime,
Oh
20 hours of
God, yeah.
playtime, whatever that number
Well,
is.
but they're a lot more. I think they're a lot easy, a lot more difficult to put together. So I
Oh
don't think
yeah,
they last that
absolutely. The
long.
tech behind it is way more
Oh,
complicated.
yeah.
But
Those of you in college listening to us,
yeah, good
go
call,
into
Ray.
digital
Good,
media.
good call.
Do your thing
Good
because
call.
you're going to be making anything having to do with VR. Oh,
Yep,
you are
yep,
immersive technologies.
yep.
You'll be making bank. So
Man,
think no excuses. No
oh,
excuses. You can do it.
that's why I'm building a time machine so I can go back, be 22, bring my 22-year-old back myself here.
Yeah, after you beat them up for,
That's just ruining my
or
life.
after he beat you up
Yeah,
for it,
yeah, he
saying,
might be my
"Yeah, this is what you
yeah,
turned out to be.
yeah. Oh, God, kill me now.
You mean you're still poor, dude?"
You got ugly.
That's what my 20-year-old would say. Disappointed.
Now, wouldn't that be funny if we could all run into our 20-year-old self one day? Wouldn't that be something?
So the last part of the show I wanted to hit on was a big one. It's a big one. So the reason that we did a parody because that makes it okay that we use this, but use pieces of a well-known film called Platoon. Um, the reason why we kind of use that at the end, pieces of it, um, is because it was all about that whole aspect, that why that war occurred and how many people passed away and how a lot of it again during and after it was based on a lot of untruths and lies that we didn't really know and people didn't know now and now they're coming to surface but what's that 50 years ago so nobody's really paying attention but that's what we hope and that's what we pray that our future doesn't happen that way which means that I think we all need to be more transparent, and I think everybody needs to unite and do what's best for the states and not best for yourself. And you got to think about that. And that's the real reason why. I mean, one of the underlying reasons why we use our film to end so dramatically. And if anybody's been watching our cartoon, they know what I'm talking about. But if you have, give it more than 2 minutes because I've been really disappointed, Dan. So the average person goes only 2.5 minutes into a cartoon, and they don't even see half of it. What's going on? My mom said it was funny. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know, my mom too.
And I laughed,
And I laughed.
and all
Yeah,
my cousins and nephews
yeah,
did. So
yeah,
no,
yeah.
seriously. So that's where
Okay.
you're going to get the gist of it. Is the last 4 minutes, right? That's when it gets crazy. And a lot of symbolic stuff going on too. So I mean that was the reason we had talked about it again because again we don't I keep saying this I'm not even gonna say it now but we're just a reflection nothing else we're a reflection of society and how we would think the a animal would perceive it or look at it and say what's going on because they come from innocence right and they're just looking at us saying, "What are you guys doing?" That's kind of our approach to everything.
Yep, I have to agree. What he said.
One more big thing,
True.
a shout out for our Magic 42.
Oh, please. Yes.
And if you guys don't know who the Magic 42 is,
Yeah.
the Magic 42 are the subscribers.
Awesome.
We got one of our cartoons got 5,000 people watching.
Yes.
Okay, I'm lying. 4,000 and something, but it looked 5,000.
To me, it is.
And we didn't get. What happened to our subscribers? Do we suck that bad, or or is it is nobody just hitting subscribe? Come on, guys. That's the only way we could survive, and that's the only way we could really do this. If you guys subscribe. So I know I'm crying and whack, but
You are.
but seriously, just subscribe. It only takes a second.
I am too.
42 subscribers. But anyway, I wanted to say, Magic 42, thank you. Thank you that you guys have seen all our episodes. Thank you that you guys respond sometimes, even though mostly it's only my aunts and my brother. Thank you. Thank you, guys. We really appreciate it.
We really do.
Yeah, we really do. And if we could just get some other people, just come on, interacting, responding. Tell us what you want us to see. Tell us what you want us to address. We will do this because, again, our main thing is to make you laugh.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
know?
just put things in a little sense of humor.
Yeah, exactly.
A little bit of sense of humor, and it's proven fact. Even in the darkest of times and stressful times, what they might call black humor has been important. They have found through studies that during combat or during other stressful situations, an intelligent person can look at the big picture and kind of giggle about it or make a joke about it because they understand it in its entirety, the big picture.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you are only focused on one area of a problem, then you won't be able to do that. So, regardless of that, we just want to have fun. We like laughing, but we're also like everybody else want to stay on top of current events and what's happening. And it's kind of fun to watch a crazy cartoon. I mean, it's only a few minutes. What the heck? Give it a look. See what you think, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, we totally do. And thank you again, 42.
Thank you.
Yes. So we're going to be having some T-shirts coming out in about a month and a half. Yeah.
Awesome news.
So we're designing that, and now
yes.
Danny's actually. I keep talking over you. I'm sorry. Tell me.
No, it's just reiterating what you said. Yeah, that's our next project, and we are so happy to do that. We can't wait.
Oh, we're so excited. So our last part of the segment is now we're going to give you guys some futuristic stuff. And what I mean by that is that we're going to talk about our next show. We're going to throw out a couple ideas for the next 10 minutes, and next 3 minutes. We're at 28. Yuck. Okay, for the next 2 minutes. Okay, so ideas, Dan. What do you think we should do?
Well, the next thing we wanted to cover was going to be AI, but not just artificial intelligence. How it's incorporated into the new developments of robotics. Because robotics has gone leaps and bounds in a few short years due to the fact that the technology is just racing through. But some of the smartest people in the world are working with them over at Boston Dynamics. Is one of the companies that makes them. Man, the stuff they have out there, and I'm sure you guys know better than me about that stuff. But what little I have seen of it, it is just awesome machines. So we're gonna look into that because that also couples into the whole virtual reality thing too. And so these two big worlds coming up ahead of us in the future that are seen now, just like the internet was many years ago, and other things. Imagine how they're going to merge into each other as they grow, and get to be the giants that they are in our lives. So that's going to be one of our things.
Yeah, so we're going to be using that. I mean, again, this is all little tidbits. We're also the Squirrel Nuts is going to focus on the theme of Halloween coming up. And there's going to be a big pumpkin involved that gets spray painted orange all the time.
Yeah, we're wearing our mask right now.
Yeah, there's going to be a gourd that just falls asleep all the time. If you guys don't know what I'm saying, it's you'll figure out as we progress. We're also going to touch upon another historic event, which is the election of November 3rd. So there's also going to be a little pieces of tidbits in that concept ideas. Again, remember it's all going to be from the perspective of the squirrel, so it's going to be wild and crazy. We're going to have the AI stuff in there. We're going to have a little bit of politics, not a lot, a little bit. We're going to have the Halloween theme, and we're just going to have a lot of fun.
Yes.
As Dan would say. All right, so you have listened to another show, the Gen X Show, part of the Squirrel Nuts. Check it out. And
Dust bunnies.
Dust bunnies. Yeah. So also, if you notice, because what I'm doing now, and you probably said, what are these? I'm actually showing tidbits of our ideas, but in pictures. So everything. So if you're listening to our podcast, also go to our YouTube site, because that's where we have the video going in with what we talked about today. I mean, whole in hand. So it's pretty neat. If you just listen to the podcast, cool, man. But if you want to see any pieces, yeah, thank you. Remember, come and subscribe too. Come over to YouTube, because that's where you're going to actually see what we talked about with little tidbits of the work that we're already working on, which is animation. And first, it has to be still pictures, and that's what we're working on now. And plus stuff that we talked about previously in our last show. You'll also see images. True. So yeah, go to our YouTube channel, because that's where it's at.
Yeah, right? Please.
Okay, thanks, guys.
See ya.